Yeah, hi there. These comments are for AM, and I am Michael, the founder, owner, and the materials writer for all of your lessons at Stealth, the 7-step system to pass the TOEFL IBT. And you just completed one of my independent writing practice tests. I think it's number 10. And let's take a look at it. So from an organizational standpoint, I think you're in pretty good shape. In the beginning of your essay, you have your thesis. There's many different views. You say some believe it should be available to all students, and others believe the education, you forgot your verb in there, say should be available to good students, right? The main thing is your thesis frames a debate. Now you're going to discuss both positions. That's what you do in paragraphs 2 and 3. Then you get to your opinion in paragraph 4. So from an organizational standpoint, it's actually pretty good. You're also using transition words to help connect the different ideas together. One example of that is you have, on the other hand, you have finally, in my opinion, you have in conclusion, you have also. So those words are effective in helping me understand the connection of ideas. Now, from a development standpoint, I think you could do better, than what you're doing right now. So I'm going to just give you one example, one of the paragraphs, how you could develop your ideas a little bit more. So in the second paragraph, you talk about how the education should be available to all students, right? And then you can say, for example, you might want to say, consider someone who lives in the country of Nepal. Nepal is a relatively remote country. It's a developing country. The median income is quite small, and someone who wants to go to college there will probably maybe need some help. They might not have the best grades, but if we make education available to that person, it's going to be very beneficial. Now, you talk about how they can get a good job. How about this? Not just a good job. You can say if education is available to all students, it can give somebody maybe from the country of Nepal a chance to get an MBA degree in finance, and maybe they can become a financial analyst, for a company somewhere. So that would maybe help specifically support your generalization a little bit better, right? So I think you could do better in paragraphs 2, 3, and 4 in terms of the specific examples you're giving. You have a lot of good ideas, but they're just overly general. You want to try to personalize this speech. You could even give an example of a family member, or even give your own example of your own personal situation, and to help explain those ideas. Okay, now let's talk about your language use. We have our vocabulary, we have the grammar. You have pretty good control of vocabulary, though sometimes you might not be using the exact word correctly. So I'm going to give you an example in paragraph number 1. I'm going to go ahead and rewrite this paragraph, or at least explain some corrections I would make. So you might want to, in the YouTube video, go down below the video in the description box and find the first paragraph where it says that people believe the college, right? That one. Okay, here's what I would do with your first sentence. I would say, today the people believe that the college or university, or how about this? People believe that all people should have the opportunity to go to college because it helps them get the things they seek, or something, you might say. Then in the next sentence, you have encouragement as a verb, but encourage is the actual verb. So we want to change that to say the parents encourage their children to complete education because they will get better jobs, and will be able to afford a family. Or how about, and will be able to financially support a family, is probably better there. And notice how because, you don't want to begin the sentence with because that ends up being a fragment. So I actually combine those two sentences. Again, I said this: the parents encourage their children to complete an education because they will get better jobs and be able to financially support a family. Okay, let's go to your next sentence. Even though other parents don't, you have spurt their children. I'm going to say maybe motivate or encourage, I think is better than spurt. You might say, even though other parents don't motivate their children, you might say, these children are able to succeed in life. So I would probably use present tense in both cases. So even though they don't motivate them, these children are able to succeed. Or their children are able to succeed. And then the next sentence you have, there are many different views about the college. And now we have some, what's called a run-on sentence. So you might say there are many different views about the college. Then you might put a semicolon. Then it says some people believe that they should be available. I don't know, I would probably say some people believe that an education should be available to all students. So I think you're having some word order problems there. You say some people believe they should be available education. No, that's not English there. Again, you might say some people believe that an education should be available to all students. Maybe comma. And then probably instead of and, I might put while or whereas, I think might work better because you're showing a distinct contrast of ideas. So you'll say comma, and then maybe say whereas others believe that an education, and you don't have a verb in there, an education should be available to only good students. Something like that. All right, so I just went through and made some corrections in your first paragraph. As you can see, you do have a lot of sentence structure problems, so you're not controlling your sentence formation very well, and you want to keep working on that sentence structure. So what you can do is, if you go to the website, I think it's grammar lesson number 7, that's going to take you to a website. Go to the grammar exercises and focus on sentence style. You might want to write that down. That's going to be important for you because you're not controlling your sentences right now. So I think you can make some improvements in that area too. And sometimes you also have some vocabulary issues. But overall, let's take a look at your score now. I don't think you'll get in the 4 area. Let's take a look at 3. I'm going to say maybe. In the 3 area in the rubrics, it says, has accurate but limited range of sentence structure and vocabulary. I'm going to say your sentence structure is actually not accurate. I don't think that you generally have good control of your sentence structure, so I'm going to move you down a little bit into the next category. So I'm going to say you can probably support your ideas a little bit more, as I said. Organization is pretty good, but you do have some numerous problems with inappropriate word choice or word forms. You remember the word encouragement instead of encourage, and you also have a lot of sentence structure issues. So I'm going to put you right now at 2.25 out of 5. That's going to put you on the TOEFL 15 points out of 30. Now, for the purposes of our class, now let's take a look. I'm going to translate this into a score now so you can see what's going on. Let me take a look at it right now. Okay, so we have, okay, for the writing, so 2.25, that's going to put you at 67 points out of 100 on that one. So what do? Remember that work a little bit more on developing your ideas, and you have to get better control over your sentence formation. And those 2 things are going to help you solve a lot of writing problems. All right?